Hello everybody and welcome back to Exploration Mode, where it's been a while, hasn't it? 21 days since the last Exploration Mode, but I blame E3. Nothing was coming out during the past couple of weeks, unfortunately. So, in other news, things are starting to come out again, so we should expect more Exploration Mode videos going forward for the immediate future. I have this one, plus another one that I'm waiting on a key for, so yeah. Right now, we are looking at doing the Imperator Pompey update, version 1.1. So let's quickly hop over to the patch notes as usual, and take a quick look at that. And let's see here. The Pompey update adds greater differentiation between the nations and cultures of the classical world, as well as major changes to the war at sea and kingdom management. Both of those need changes. So let's take a look at the headlining features here. Dual rulers. The historic second consuls of Rome and suffrets of Carthage, suffretes? I'm not sure how that's pronounced. One of those, probably, are now represented in these republics, and a monarch's spouse contributes to the rule of the kingdom, so like in Crusader Kings. I gotcha. Heritage. Nations now have traditional profiles that reflect their historic strengths, adding more differentiation between nations. That's good. We needed more differentiation. For example, other than the differentiation geographically, it's almost identical to play, say, Macedon and Egypt. So we definitely need more differentiation there. Naval combat. More types of ships, yes. And new tactical options for combat, similar to those available on land. More types of ships make it more like Europa. That's what I'm looking for. Naval range. Ships can travel a limited distance from a friendly port before suffering attrition. This attrition can be reduced by inventions. Again, like Europa. I like it. Pirates now operate from a pirate haven in a specific province. Clearing out this base will reduce pirate activity for a while. Also, pirates may now be hired as mercenaries. So that actually, other than the mercenaries bit, that works a lot like Stellaris. I like it. Release subjects. Reduce unrest by ceding limited independence to provinces that do not like your rule. Oh, so you can release a disloyal province as a subject? As like a feudatory? That's actually really neat. I like that a lot. Province improvements. Cities can build special projects that come with major permanent bonuses, crafting a major metropolis for your realm. Again, that seems cool. Stability rework. Stability is now a 100-point scale, base of 50, with corresponding bonuses and penalties along the range. Wait, so they're getting away from the Europa system. Interesting. New government interactions. Give a specific family greater power, call a war council in times of emergency. Navigable rivers. Fleets can now sail the great rivers of the region, Nile, Tigris, and Euphrates, opening up new military strategies. New commander traits. Admirals and generals earn new traits while leading forces. Move capital. Relocate your national center of power or provincial capitals. That's a feature that really should have been in the game. New event chains, including flavor events for Rome, Italy, and Carthage. Rome and Italy separate? I guess this just applies to all Italian nations, maybe? New events related to military commanders and slavery. Excellent. So, let's take a quick look in the patch notes here. I'm not going to read out all of these because this is rather long. Rather long indeed. Okay. So let's just take a quick look here. Coastal and river terrain types for naval combat. That's neat. Okay, here's the stability bit right here. Stability has been reworked to no longer be on a scale of -3 to +3. Instead, it ranges from 0 to 100 and gravitates naturally towards 50. Okay. Stability below 50 will give penalties to unrest, happiness, and loyalty, as well as lowering the thresholds for civil wars and rebellions. Stability above 50 will benefit research, commerce, population growth, and will make the thresholds for civil war and rebellion higher. Okay. Increasing stability is no longer instant. Instead, sacrifices to the gods will give an increase of stability over time, and multiple sacrifices in short time will increase the rate of this increase. That is a really good change. Because previously, I was finding that I was just banking up huge amounts of religious power, which would allow me to just no CB war from +3, and just instantly get back to +3 stability with no repercussions. So this is a really good change, in my opinion. What is this about Civil Wars? Civil Wars have been reworked to be based on the disloyal power base versus the total power base of a country. Each character has a power base that depends on their holdings, commanded units, wealth, titles, governorship importance, etc. This value is displayed in Overview, Character Listings, Character, and Family Views. Okay, interesting. Population capacity now dictates how many pops can live in each city, primarily increased by things like climate, rivers, ports, but it's also possible to increase through building granaries. A city over capacity will get penalties from overpopulation, but no city will grow over its cap naturally. Okay. So you would have to move pops into the city. I gotcha. All countries can now convert religion if their high priest is of the new religion, and a majority of the free pops in their capital also follow it. Sounds neat. What else do we have here? Navigable rivers, heritages, that's all good. Legitimacy is no longer instantly increased from a button press, but a stackable overtime ticking improvement. Okay, so that'll work like Crusader Kings. I'm okay with that. Or Europa, actually. But, yeah, that's the same thing. War Exhaustion... No, Crusader Kings in Europa isn't the same thing, but it's a similar sort of concept. War Exhaustion is no longer a button to magically decrease it instantly, but instead it works like the changed stability. That is another really good change, and one that I hope they bring to Europa as well, because Europa has that same problem where you can just spend power to magically instantly decrease War Exhaustion. Oh, this is so good. You can now embark and disembark armies while in a port, and you have a big enough navy. That is something that should have been in the base game, in my opinion. That is a big oversight in the base game, and now that it is in, that is a huge, huge deal. That will save so much time when embarking armies. Reworked the province view, adding more information, including peer charts? Do they mean pie charts of population? I think they mean pie charts. You can now tell units to start building roads, and they will continue doing it as long as you have power, instead of stopping in each location to await new orders. This is one of my big bugbears with 1.0.3. So with 1.1, they are making it so that you can actually build roads and queue it up. I'm okay with that. And boost province loyalty in a province capital where he or she is present. Wait, how do you make your monarch be present in a province to boost loyalty? Can you now make your ruler travel around the realm and gain popularity or something? I don't know. We already covered dual rulers. Province and city improvements. Urban development interaction added for cities. Using the interaction increases local civilization capacity as well as civilization growth rate. Okay. You can now set what unit types your clan retinues should be. Changing will update retinues as well, but strength is dropped to 0. Okay, so you just have to refill your retinues. I gotcha. Added 4 province level improvements corresponding to each of the power types, population output, and province loyalty for military power. Building slots for civic power, local import routes for oratory power, same religion pop happiness for religious power. So this would then work kind of like the province improvements in Europa, and I'm okay with that. That said, I don't feel like we needed... For certain types of power, we didn't need more ways to spend it. Like, for example, oratory or civic power. For religious power, we absolutely needed more ways to spend it. But same religion pop happiness? That's not a great thing. I don't know. I feel like we need a stronger use of religious power. We'll have to see. So, they have also reworked the navies. Reworked navies to form lines of battle and split galleys into 6 classes with different roles, ranging from light, highly maneuverable and with a high chance to attempt to board, to medium, all around balanced, and heavy, can only target ships directly opposed, withstand more damage, and very hard to board. Heavy ships are unlocked in some military tradition trees, Persian, Indian, and Greek, and can perform special unit abilities to help project power overseas. Navies can now also make use of their own combat tactics and can shattered retreat to a friendly port. That's nice. So they added Liburnian ship type in the light ship category. Triremes are now light ships. Okay. Tetrares and hexares are medium ships. Octarays and megapolyremes are in the heavy ship category. Added capture port naval unit ability, allowing heavy ships to capture unguarded adjacent ports. That's actually really neat, that you can capture ports from the sea. I like that a lot. That'll make naval invasions much, much easier. And more realistic, too. Added port raid naval unit ability, allowing heavy ships to create a breach in an ongoing adjacent port with an ongoing siege. So heavy ships are allowed to assist with a siege then by using their, like, ballistae and such. I like that too. Added port assault naval unit ability, allowing megapolyremes to remove one fort level from an adjacent enemy port. Is that permanent, or does the ship have to, like, essentially channel that? That'll be an interesting thing to figure out. Naval range, we already covered. Ships can now be captured in naval combat, like in Europa. I like it. Pirates reworked, like in Stellaris. I like that too. Okay, onward. Holdings rework. Characters can now hold multiple holdings limited by their capabilities, mainly finesse. A city can also have multiple holdings, one for each 10 slaves present. Unowned holdings can be granted to characters by the state or purchased by them over time. Holdings can also be confiscated by the state, lost to starvation, or lost if a city changes hands, causing a loss of loyalty for their old owner. This loyalty modifier will last 5 years per lost holding. Okay, so it doesn't stack up, it's just duration. I gotcha. A holding will provide its owner with income, boosting their personal wealth over time. If more than half of the holdings in a city belong to a character on the rebel side in a civil war, then that city will defect at the start of the conflict. It is no longer possible to move or promote slaves if it would mean the loss of a holding for a character. So that works a lot like Crusader Kings, actually. I generally like this. I'll have to see how exactly the holding system works. They added a ledger. That's super good. It has the following pages. Countries. Lists all countries in the world, together with relevant statistics, army sizes, military traditions, heritages, stances, etc. Rulers. Lists all current rulers in the world and lets you interact with them. I like it. Provinces. All provinces in the currently played country, listed with pops, trade routes, loyalty, as well as tax and commerce income. I like that too. Inventions. Lists all currently bought inventions in the current country, and lists all former rulers of the current country. Nice. So there's new government interactions too. That is to say, there are government interactions. Actions you can take in the government view that are dependent on your current government type. So monarchies can summon the War Council once every 10 years, allowing you to choose a free claim on neighboring territory at the cost of loyalty of one or more officers. That's interesting. They can also demand oaths of allegiance, costing 200 oratory and religious power, and yielding plus 25 primary air attraction for 5 years. Old Games has been converted to a government interaction for monarchies and tribes, allowing your ruler to participate in the games. Nice. You can also patronize the arts for 300 civic power, and yielding a 5% primary culture happiness and 0.01% global civilization gain per month for 5 years. I mean, that's powerful, but under what situation are you going to have 300 civic power laying around? Like, you could get 3 techs for that. I don't know. Republic interactions. Civic faction decreases build cost by 15%, but increases populist influence by 0.25 per month for 5 years. Costs civic power and is cheaper to perform if the civic party is in power. Makes sense? And then they've got the same thing for military power, increasing discipline and also increasing populist influence. Then they've got the mercantile faction, trade route cost for 25%, also populist influence. Religious faction decreases convert cost by 25%, but increases populist influence by 0.25 per month again. Okay, and then the Empower Populist faction decreases monthly corruption of all characters and reduces populist faction influence by 0.5 per month for 5 years. So basically the idea is you cycle between these, I guess. We've also got tribal government interactions, assembling raiding parties for 200 military and 200 oratory power, increasing enslavement efficiency by 10% for 5 years. And we can also encourage tribal migration, which will decrease the centralization of a tribal nation but cause 5 pops to move out of your realm into a nearby province, preferring empty provinces. Wait, will that become part of your realm? Interesting. I'll have to see how that works. And tribes can also make use of hold games and hold war council interactions. Macro builder improvements. The macro builder to promote, assimilate, or convert pops, as well as constructing buildings, will now show the expected return of each action to give you better information. Yes! This needed to happen. This should have been in the base game, in my opinion. Okay, there's also some game balance changes. We're not going to be too in-depth on these. There's some economic changes, governmental changes, character changes, unit changes. Anything interesting here? Not particularly. Chariots are now more efficient against archers and light infantry, so there's even less reason to build a light infantry. Okay, I like it. AE reduction from high AE is -3 instead of -5. So aggressive expansion is kinda nerfed. Okay. Gotcha. Technology. Tweak technology ahead of time to be multiplied on speed. Okay. Technology is now 33% more costly to get. But there's also now a behind on tech speed multiplier that increases your tech speed. I assume that this is all to make it feel about the same, because it was about right before. We'll see how that feels. Some changes to traditions, more balance changes to cities and provinces. Your own forts and friendly zone of control now saves you from attrition due to winter and terrain. That is actually huge, because now there's a much bigger reason to build forts, like, for example, in the Alps. Fascinating. Rome and its surroundings now has more farmlands. Okay. Marketplaces no longer boost commerce income, but instead gives plus 10% tax income. That's fascinating, actually. I like it. Provinces that are isolated and not adjacent to other provinces in your country now get a small loyalty hit. That makes sense. What if they are connected by sea, though? Like, for example, in our game with Carthage. We'll have to see how that works. Each road in a city now gives a minor boost to civilization growth. That's nice. Each port in a province now has +1 trade route. Again, that's nice. Tweaked mercenaries to be less numerous and a bit more spread out. They did that last patch too. Can no longer recruit mercs that have not recovered their strength. Mercenaries marching home will not reinforce. Mercenary maintenance increased by 50%. That's good. We need to make mercenaries less efficient. Merc Captain is now a status that gives +5 martial. That's nice. Mercenaries that would have been stack wiped now charge their disband fee from employer and leave their employment. Okay. Assimilation and conversion now costs 30 monarch power. That's a significant increase. Unrest no longer causes negative population growth. That is super good. Colonization can now be done over 2 sea zones. I like that. Slaves are now more distributed over your empire, and looks at holdings of general as well. I don't know what that means. Like, where it puts the slaves automatically, maybe? Glass now increases local civilization. Precious metals is now city loyalty. Okay. Barbarian hordes have no attrition in unowned provinces now. Barbarians are no longer clever enough to use zone of control propagation. That's good. Barbarians now use the cultural graphics of their type of commander, and they now reinforce twice as quick when not sieging. Barbarians that have not fought in a battle will never accept surrender, and they will now grow in size as they take over provinces containing tribesmen. Okay, so they become a lot more similar to slave armies. I gotcha. And here's a bunch of tweaks to how the AI does things. I'm not going to go over these. You can pause and read them if you like. Interface changes. That's all okay. Minimum resolution is now 1080p. Interesting. I don't necessarily like that, but I play in 1080p, so I guess it's fine. What else do we have? User modding changes, again, I'm not going to go over this. You can read through this if you like. Setup and script, again, I'm not going to really go over this. A bunch of bug fixes as well, crashes and out-of-sync errors, game mechanic bugs. And nice, what's the known issues? The launch of the Pompey update on the Microsoft Store has experienced some delay. It will be released later today. Okay. Mac has a crash that can occur when viewing the mercenary interface. Players can't get achievements outside of Steam. Investigation ongoing. The DLC tab has been removed from the launcher except for the Microsoft Store version. Is that really a known issue? Okay, whatever. Pompey will not work with older save games, so there's a 1.0.3 old version rollback branch for players who wish to continue their current games. Okay, that's interesting, but let's pop back into Imperator, and I'm just going to test that. We're going to load up our 1.0.3 game that we've been playing on the channel, and we're just going to see what exactly it does. Failed to load. Okay. Sounds good. So we'll just create a new game here and play for 10 minutes or so, explore around. And as far as the Imperator playthrough goes, well, I'll think about it. I have recorded up through the end of June for Imperator, so if we are going to do something else, which may or may not happen, if we are going to play something else, then that is going to be starting on the 1st of July, but I'll post an announcement later on. So let's just play as something, I don't know, kind of random. It doesn't really matter. Maybe like the Seleucids. I've never played as them. Okay. So we immediately get this event here. And I've not played as these guys, so I don't know if this is a new event or not, but it's new to me. The Eastern Strapes. Decades ago, Alexander invaded India and extended his empire to the Indus, but the many wars between the successor kings have left these eastern satrapies, I think, isolated and weak. In the past year, Chandragupta Maurya has united northern India, crushing the Nanda Empire, while sweeping in over the Greek stratops in the Indus Valley. It has been suggested that we should cut our losses and give up the last of the eastern satrapies, I keep doing that, to the Mauryas, or this conflict could drag out for years. A truce would also buy us the time we needed to consolidate our own empire and defeat the other successors. So, Opus will now produce elephants, and we would get a bunch of elephants. We would give them a fair number of provinces and have a truce with them for 15 years. Alternately, we would immediately go to war. We're going to negotiate with them for now. We have a free idea slot. That's new. Okay, so we can only choose one of these three. Needs to hold an idea from the military ideas group in order to get a matching bonus. Wait. So you can choose it from anything, but you get a bonus if it's from the military group here. So we would choose, like, for example, morale of armies here. And then here, this would be from the oratory idea. And we need 2 from the oratory ideas if we want to get the bonus. Okay. So monthly corruption, loyalty. I like loyalty. And then what if we weren't interested in getting the ideas here, hypothetically? We could take, say, country civilization level. Now all of that costed oratory power. And yeah, we're not getting the bonus there. Okay. So that gets rid of all of the bonus, having one not fit? Interesting. But I don't really care too much about... Oh wait, we'd also get 2 of each power monthly. That's actually huge. We should definitely have an oratory idea here. Monthly corruption reduction. Yeah. That's worthwhile. Okay, so we need commanders. That's fine. We're not going to really do too much. We're mostly just looking around at the new bits. So looking at this, it's still costing 100. Maybe they mean that the advances are 33% harder to get? Maybe, but we're going to take the supply limit. Okay. We can actually get a second invention as well, actually, now that I look at it. And we're going to probably go with starting experience. Sure, why not? Okay, for an omen, we've got lots of manpower, and we're gaining a decent amount. So, 0.03%, that's really quite low. We're going to go for the Blessing of Demeter. Okay, so I want to look at one of our more populated provinces here, or cities actually. So this is substantially different. Okay. So here we have Babylon, and we can see our pops here. We can see our culture distribution, religion distribution, and pop type distribution. I like it. Let's see, our ruler is what? Oh, and the macro builder. Right. Oh, this is so much better. This is immediately so much better. Sort by total income, and now we can see that where we would actually get gains, and we can build things efficiently. I like it. So much better. Okay, so I was looking at this before I got a little distracted. We can import specifically to here, and that's something I haven't really been doing, but that's not something that we're going to do immediately. So we can see here our supply limit, our local fort defense, our fort level, our culture, religion, and pop type breakdowns. Let's see here. This is our income, I believe. Yes. Oh, this is our tax income. This is our commerce income. This is our manpower income, and this is our research income from this particular city. And then we can see our civilization value here. Our maximum is 48%. We could coordinate urban development for 100 civic power. Impact on province loyalty. Okay. Barbarian power and unrest. I like this a lot, actually. This is a lot better. How do we see the... Okay, this is the province view up here. This is the city view down here. Okay, that makes sense. The one thing that I don't like here is that we're still going to need to click around inside of these cities. Like, for example, if we're specifically looking to convert some of these Babylonian pops to Macedonian, we still need to click around and say, well, how many of these pops are Babylonian? All of them are Babylonian, and then promote them here. So we don't actually have the ability to say, well, this particular city... I mean, we can use the culture map mode to kind of see that. And we can see 6 Babylonian pops, 24 Babylonian pops, etc. So I guess that's kind of a workaround. Interesting. So the Seleucid Empire does have some navies, and we start, specifically, with 7 Liburnians, 8 Triremes, 7 Tetrares, and 8 Hexares. Okay? So can we build heavy ships? We cannot. But we can see here what they're good against. So this works basically like the armies now. I like it. And of course, these are the navigable rivers up here, the Tigris and Euphrates. Which is one of the reasons why I chose the Seleucid Empire to play as here. Interesting. So this is our primary heir here. Okay. We've got our consort here, possible successors down here, and our government interactions. So we can hold games for popularity and pay money for that, or we can summon our war council, which I'm not going to do immediately. Actually, let's go ahead and do it. War council assembles. The Shroud of Evening falls on the magnificent palaces of Seleucia Megale as 3 silhouettes appear at the door of the royal audience chamber. Hermogenes, a well-loved and competent leader, Antiochus, a well-known rogue and philanderer, and Callistratos, thought by many to speak with the will of the gods, file into the palace chambers, each determined to influence the Seleucid court in their own manner. As promising and flawed arguments are proffered on all sides, the status quo descends eventually. Antiochus agrees on the necessity of curbing the Cappadocian threat, whereas Hermogenes opines that his preference lies in the plenteous lands of Morea. It is up to us to determine the best course of action. So we can either ditch it, or we can side with Hermogenes and gain a claim on the Morean province of Taxila. Morea is over here. They're our primary rivals. And Antiochus and Callistratus are correct. A claim on Cappadocian lands must be made. Where is Cappadocia? Right here. Going into Phrygia. And then those two would gain loyalty, whereas the guy we sided against would lose loyalty. Interesting. I wonder if they can all three choose a different one. For right now, we're not going to actually be doing this, but I would choose Cappadocia in this situation. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. However, we are pretty much past our time for this exploration mode, but overall, I feel like this is a big improvement to Imperator, which was already, in my opinion, a reasonably competent game. There were a few things in this patch that I think should have been in the base game before they released it, but now I'm just glad it's in the game at all. So yeah, overall, I think this is a pretty good patch. Subscribe for more, and I will see you all next time.